In this video, let's take a look at using the new calibration tools in TPC Desktop 2019 for total station data. In other videos, we've taken a look at calibrating GNSS data, Google Earth, XREFs from a CAD drawing, all kinds of stuff. And this is a good way to use calibrations also when we have assumed coordinates. So I've got a survey here that shows lots 2 and 3 are record data in white. And then the sort of teal are the side shots I took from some control points that I just kind of assumed locations for. So I went out, put a hub in the ground or occupied a pin, wasn't quite sure where I was, put in some backside azimuth and started picking up my data. Now I've come back in the office and I want to reconcile this. So the easiest way for me to do this is simply just to calibrate this. And I'm going to walk you through the steps for that. So I'm going to open up this traverse, field data, and I want to show you here that out in the field I said, oh, this shot 100 that I took equals 0.1. Okay, so that's 0.1 of my record data. I did the same thing down here for 2, did the same thing for 0.8, did the same thing for 0.7. I want to see if I got, okay, did number 2 again down here. And it looks like I probably forgot to put the equal sign in here. So let's go ahead and say equals 1. Okay, so now I've got all of these ties that I made out in the field, and that's going to help me calibrate this. And I just want to walk you through those steps then for that. So I'm going to right-click anything that's part of this traverse that I want to calibrate, choose calibration. So it says I've got one selected traverse. Now, I don't have a calibration yet, so I'm going to create it. And the easiest way for me to create it is to say this option right here. I'm going to select a traverse of uncalibrated points with calibrated points as, okay, they're in the point description delineated by this equal sign. And I can pick this traverse from the list, or I can just use this chevron and come back and pick it in the drawing. So here's my traverse. Let's go ahead and choose OK. So right away, Traverse PC computes the calibration and gives me information about it. So I'm going to go in and say, okay, so field data, that's great. It's from this survey, and I could put in the survey name if I wanted to. I don't know, I think I probably don't have a survey name for this right now. And then I'm going to tell it I'm going from assumed coordinates, so I'll insert that, to my local site. And local site just means on the ground at the site, and in this case I think I use 0, 0 for the starting coordinates. That's kind of just the general term then, local site, that I use. Here are the points from that traverse. So I've got all of the control points listed, and that's what creates the point pairs. So these are the points that I shot in the field and the points of record that they referenced. So 100 reference 0.1, 107 reference 0.2, that sort of thing. And then here are my results. And I told Traverse PC to use a conformal transformation. That means the shape isn't going to change of any of the points. I'm not going to calibrate vertical. I've got probably zeros as elevations for the record data anyhow. So I'm going to do a 2D conformal. Here's the parameters, so I can look here and see it's doing very little scaling. I am doing some rotation, and I'm not shifting the vertical. And then basically it's going to take 0.100 and it's going to take it from the uncalibrated position to the calibrated position with this difference. And this is what I'm primarily interested in here, are the standard errors for those. So very little standard error there, couple hundredths there, hundredth there. Yeah, so I'm really pretty happy with how these look. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to call it a random location and overwrite the one that was there. Now all I have to do is just calibrate it, apply it. So I apply that calibration. Traverse PC goes in and moves those points based on that calibration. So I can come in and here's a record of it now. So it's quite a number of points in there. Okay, it came in and calibrated for me. And again, it shows me the uncalibrated position, the calibrated position, and the difference. And of course, this is what I'm after here. Traverse PC went ahead and rocked all those points onto my record data, what I'm calling my site coordinate system, so that they fit the record data that I entered. And what I really, really like about this is that Traverse BC just used a least squares solution to minimize the standard errors. So it did a better job than I could have if I had translated, rotated, and scaled that field data 1 point at a time or 2 points at a time. So that least square says take as many ties as you want. We'll use all of those ties to really create a best fit for that field data to the local site. And you get to kind of see the benefits of that here. It's kind of rocked it on pretty nice in a real simple way. Now the other thing I like about this is that I now have a calibration. So I have this field data, which is the name I gave that to calibration, and I've calibrated 44 objects already, those points. So that calibration went from assumed coordinates to local site. The assumed coordinates are the coordinates in the data collector. So I could just as easily create some additional points, okay, whatever I need to do, some points on line or some easements that I want to stake out, and I have an option now. I can either send back the local site coordinates to my data collector and create basically a new job, so it's got a new coordinate system in the data collector, or when I go to export those out, I could simply reverse this calibration. And I could go from my local site to that assumed coordinate system and simply add those points to the existing job in the data collector, and it wouldn't know the difference. It's going to continue to stake them out based on the assumed coordinates that it's still using. So you have kind of the best of both worlds here by reusing this calibration. That calibration, by the way, is stored in the survey file with the survey. So if I go in and look at this now, I'm in the folder for that job, and that calibration is sitting there in that folder. So it's always going to stay with that job. Traverse BC also stores enough information about the calibration with the TRV file, the survey file, that even if I lost that calibration file, it would still be able to calibrate and uncalibrate and reverse calibrate because it has all the parameters stored in the survey file. So I just wanted you to see real quick how calibrations can be used with total station data, and it really takes all the busy work out of rocking my assumed coordinate system onto my local site.